Have you ever made amazing progress after weight loss surgery only to find your brain suddenly working against you? Maybe you skipped protein for a day, which snowballed into a week of poor choices. Or perhaps you hit a weight loss goal and then inexplicably started emotional eating again. This frustrating pattern isn't a character flaw or a lack of willpower. It's actually your brain deliberately sabotaging your weight loss success. And today, I'm revealing the neuroscience behind why even committed bariatric patients unconsciously sabotage their progress and exactly how to rewire these neural pathways for sustainable weight loss instead. What I'm sharing isn't just theory. After working with dozens of bariatric clients, this has shown me that brain-driven self-sabotage is one of the primary reasons why people regain weight after initial success after surgery. And it's rarely addressed in traditional post-op care. Your doctor, your nutritionist, they're not talking about this. And this pattern is remarkably consistent. Patients make excellent progress right after their surgery, but then their brains activate mechanisms that directly contradict their conscious goals. Most blame themselves, thinking that they lack discipline, they lack motivation, they lack willpower. But brain imaging studies actually tell a completely different story. Harvard neuroscience research has revealed that weight loss self-sabotage has distinct neural signatures visible on MRI scans. And what looks like bad behavior is actually your brain's complex protection mechanism at work. After seeing this pattern repeatedly with my clients, I developed a neuroscience-based framework specifically targeting the root causes of post-surgery self-sabotage. And clients who implement this approach consistently break free from these patterns and maintain their weight loss long term. And before I explain how this even works, let me clarify. If you've experienced self-sabotage after weight loss surgery, your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do, protect you. The key is understanding how this protection gets misdirected after significant weight loss. So, three key brain systems drive self-sabotage after bariatric surgery. First, your brain's homeostasis mechanism. Your brain resists change of any kind, even positive change. This system, governed by the hypothalamus, maintains what scientists call your set point. So when you lose weight rapidly after surgery, this creates a dramatic deviation from your established set point. Your brain registers this as a potential threat, triggering powerful urges to return to your previous weight. This happens unconsciously, beyond your awareness. Second, your brain's identity protection mechanism. Your brain forms neural networks that constitute your self-concept. And after years in a larger body, your neural networks contain a strong association between your identity and your previous size. Rapid weight loss creates cognitive dissonance, a state where your new reality conflicts with your established neural identity. And this dissonance generates uncomfortable emotions that your brain instinctively tries to resolve, often unconsciously driving behaviors that return you to a state matching your established identity. Third is your brain's threat response circuitry. Centered in the amygdala, this system constantly scans for potential dangers. And surprisingly, positive changes like successful weight loss can activate this threat system. And for many bariatric patients, weight has served as an unconscious protection from various threats. Unwanted attention, relationship demands, higher expectations, or past trauma. And as you lose weight, your amygdala may register the loss of this protection as dangerous, triggering behaviors that restore your previous state. What makes these systems so powerful is that they operate outside conscious awareness. You don't decide to sabotage yourself. Your brain's protection systems activate automatically in response to signals indicating potential threats to homeostasis, identity, or safety. And this explains why self-sabotage often accelerates when you're making the most progress. From your conscious perspective, you're succeeding. But from your brain's protective systems view, you're moving further from safety, from your set point, from your neural identity. But the good news is that these systems display remarkable neuroplasticity. They can be rewired. By addressing each system directly, you can transform how your brain responds to weight loss success. So I identified three distinct patterns of weight loss self-sabotage after bariatric surgery, each stemming from different neural mechanisms and requiring different interventions. Type 1 is threshold self-sabotage. This occurs when you approach significant milestones, nearing a weight goal, fitting into a certain size, receiving increased attention, and suddenly your brain engages behaviors that halt your progress. Neurologically, this happens because your brain has established an upper boundary to your comfort zone. As you approach this boundary, your threat response system activates, identifying progress beyond this point as dangerous. One of my clients consistently self-sabotaged when she hit 180 pounds, the lowest she'd ever been in her adult life. But using brain-based interventions, we discovered that her brain had formed an association between weighing less than 180 and a period of vulnerability in her past. And once we addressed this neural association, she broke through this threshold permanently and started losing the weight. Type 2, identity conflict self-sabotage. This emerges when weight loss conflicts with your established self-concept, and your brain has created neural networks around certain self-definitions. Like, I'm the heavy friend, or I struggle with food, or I'm not athletic. When your new body contradicts these neural identity markers, your brain experiences identity-based cognitive dissonance. And so to resolve this uncomfortable state, it unconsciously drives behaviors that realign your reality with your established neural identity. One of my other clients would follow perfect post-op nutrition for weeks, then suddenly abandoned it completely. Does that sound familiar? We discovered that her neural networks contained a strong struggler identity. Success felt neurologically inconsistent with who she believed herself to be. She didn't think she was capable of success. And so by rewiring these identity networks, she maintained consistent progress after her surgery. Type 3, secondary gain self-sabotage. This complex pattern occurs when your brain has formed associations between your weight and certain psychological benefits, like avoiding expectations, receiving care, having an explanation for disappointments, or maintaining relationship dynamics. And when you lose weight after surgery, your brain registers the potential loss of these benefits as a threat, driving behaviors that restore these perceived benefits even at the cost of your conscious goals. One of my clients unconsciously feared losing weight would mean losing her excuse for not pursuing her dream career. Her weight had become neurologically linked to permission to avoid professional risks. And until we addressed this association, she continued self-sabotaging whenever she approached her goal. Understanding which type you're experiencing is crucial because each requires a different neural rewiring approach. Let's now explore the science-based protocol that rewires these neural patterns through targeted neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to recognize neural connection in response to specific interventions. This approach has three core components designed typically for post-bariatric success. Component 1, the homeostatic reset. This addresses your brain's resistance to deviating from its established set point through strategic consistency mapping, creating patterns that gradually reset your hypothalamic regulation system, metabolic signal optimization, specific nutrition patterns that communicate safety to your homeostatic mechanisms, incremental boundary extension, gradually expanding your brain's comfort zone through a precisely timed progress cycle. These techniques send consistent signal that your new weight is safe, gradually shifting your brain's homeostatic set point without triggering protective responses. And when one of my clients implemented this component and stopped experiencing the urge to undo her surgical progress, her brain finally accepted her new weight as the appropriate set point. Component 2, identity integration. This addresses the neural networks that form your identity, specifically the disconnect between your established self-concept and your new reality after weight loss surgery through neural identity mapping, identifying the specific neural markers that constitute your weight-related identity, bridging narrative development, creating coherence between your previous and current self-concepts. identity reinforcement practices, daily exercises that strengthen your neural pathways that support your new identity. Dissonance resolution techniques, specific protocols that resolve the cognitive dissonance between old and new identity markers. And these practices leverage your brain's natural drive towards coherence, creating integration between your established self-concept and your new post-surgical body. One of my clients experienced what she called a complete mindset transformation, moving from constantly thinking of herself as someone who would inevitably fail to confidently identifying as someone who maintains her bariatric success naturally. Component 3, threat reprocessing. This addresses your brain's threat response system, specifically the amygdala's misinterpretation of positive change as danger through threat association identification, pinpointing the specific threats linked to weight loss in your neural circuitry. Limbic retreating sequence, systematic techniques that recalibrate your amygdala's response to change. Secondary gain fulfillment, strategies that preserve psychological benefits previously linked to weight. Safety anchoring, creating powerful neural associations between your new state and feelings of security. And these rewire your brain's threat assessment system, transforming what was once perceived as dangerous into something your brain recognizes as safe. One of my clients finally broke through her threshold weight, feeling free from the anxiety that had previously triggered self-sabotage after her bariatric surgery. When we implemented together these 3 components, created comprehensive neural rewiring that transformed her self-sabotage into sustainable weight loss success. Now, here's how to implement this neural rewiring protocol in your daily life after bariatric surgery through 4 simple steps. So first, I want you to identify your pattern using neural trigger tracking for 7 to 10 days. Document when you deviate from your goals, noting what milestones preceded it, what identity conflicts surfaced, and what benefits the sabotage preserves, and what emotions arose. This awareness activates your prefrontal cortex, which can modify automatic responses. Second, choose your starting point based on your tracking. For milestone-related sabotage, begin with a homeostatic reset. For identity conflicts, start with identity integration. For secondary benefits, focus on threat reprocessing, starting with your primary pattern to build momentum. Third, implement techniques that we talked about sequentially over 4 weeks. For the homeostatic reset, establish consistency mapping, then the metabolic signal optimization, followed by boundary extension. For identity integration, complete your neural mapping, develop your bridging narrative, and then practice daily reinforcement. For threat reprocessing, identify associations, then begin limbic retraining, then implement gain fulfillment and safety. And finally, once you've addressed your primary component, gradually integrate the others while reinforcing progress through daily 5-minute practices, weekly assessments, and monthly recalibrations. And as you implement this protocol, you may encounter some of these common challenges. And the first challenge is the neurological backlash. When rewiring neural systems, you might experience an extinction burst, a temporary intensification of the very patterns that you're trying to change. This occurs because your brain interprets the disruption of established patterns as a threat. The solution here is to recognize this intensification as evidence that you're disrupting the neural pathways, not as failure. And I want you to implement the temporary intensification protocol. You're going to double down on homeostatic signaling through consistency, increase identity reinforcement practices, and then add safety anchoring to reassure your threat response system. This is going to address the neurological mechanisms driving the backlash, helping you move through this phase quickly and maintain your bariatric surgery results. Challenge 2, partial implementation trap. So many folks implement only comfortable components. That's part of self-sabotage, avoiding everything that generates resistance. And this creates incomplete neural rewiring. So the solution here, use the resistance mapping technique to identify which components generate the most resistance, typically indicates which neural systems most need rewiring, and create a specific plan to systematically address these components. Challenge number 3 is environmental trigger flooding. Your environment contains countless clues associated with previous patterns that can reactivate old pathways. So the solution here is to implement the progressive exposure protocol, strategically introducing triggers in a controlled sequence while applying rewiring techniques. And this creates new neural associations with previously problematic cues, transforming them into neural or positive signals for your brain. Look, knowledge alone won't transform your journey. Implementation is what creates real change. And if you recognize these weight loss self-sabotage patterns after bariatric surgery, I invite you to book a complimentary bariatric success connection call with me. And in this call, we'll identify your specific type, create a personalized plan, and determine if additional support would benefit you. And remember, your brain isn't broken. It's just running outdated protection programs that can be updated and rewired with the right approach. So click the link below in the description to secure one of the limited weekly spots. And self-sabotage is not about willpower. It's your brain trying to protect you in ways that no longer serve your weight loss goals. And the key is teaching your brain that your new post-surgical state is actually safe. So let me know in the comments which type of self-sabotage resonated most with you.